Have you ever been in an unfamiliar place and the only store that you can find beer at is a BevMo, and you're not sure, should I buy the cheap beer, should I buy the medium price beer, or should I just splurge and buy the really expensive beer? Well, guess what? Today, Jacob and I are going to be your guinea pigs. We're going to try a really cheap beer from BevMo, a middle price beer from BevMo, and an expensive beer from BevMo, and we're going to tell you whether or not it's worth it. So if you're ready, stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode, Beer Lovers. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jacob.
And if you guys are new to the channel, please click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any other future episodes. If you guys have been around a while, you should already know the drill, so I'm not even going to ask you. So as I said in the intro, we're doing a review of a cheap beer, a middle price beer, and an expensive beer. The question is what style? Well, the one that we found that had the biggest variety in price is going to be the barrel-aged beers, the stouts. So we have 3 different beers for you, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the first one. So Jacob, do you want to go ahead and tell them what we're about to drink?
Yeah, so this here is going to be Kentucky Coffee Barrel Stout. Now, we have never had this before. It's made from Lexington Brewing Company, another brewery we've never heard before. Grand total for this 4-pack is going to set you back a whopping $10. Ooh. So for a barrel-aged coffee stout, $10 for 4 of them. That's going to be our cheapest. But once again, we've never heard of this one, so let's see if we're actually, getting what we're paid for, or is this actually like a steal? And
or is this just rough?
Or is it just going to be?
It could be rough. We're starting with the cheap beer first, so
yeah. But I mean, let's find out, because I mean, $10 for a 4-pack of barrel-aged coffee stout. I mean, I'm into it if it's good.
If it's good.
If it's good. So let's see.
So head-wise, I mean, nothing too spectacular, but for a barrel-aged stout, I mean, you wouldn't expect too much.
Pouring it definitely did not look super thick, so this was not, right off the bat, I was not expecting this to be like 13% or something. I'm not expecting the mouthfeel to be some sort of crazy melted candy, shenanigans. But I want, good coffee flavor. I want good, nice dark chocolate roast. I'm looking to get buzzed, and I want it to be able to taste that bourbon character from it. So let's see if we can,
All right.
Yeah.
I've already been digging in on the aroma. I'm curious what you think. Definitely get hints of coffee and bourbon. I hate to say it, but when I smell it, it reminds me of a grungy liquor store.
Wow.
I feel like maybe I'm just being biased. I'm thinking my brain is just programming me to know that this is a really cheap barrel-aged beer.
I will say I definitely smell more stout than I do, like, coffee. Even more than I do barrel. So it definitely... I don't know how long it's been in the barrel. Maybe it wasn't there for that long. So there's always that. That's going to drive the price lower if you don't have to wait on your beer to be ready as long. But let's drink and find out.
Yeah. Cheers.
A lot more stout flavor than anything else. I kind of have to hunt for a barrel character. If they didn't even say that it was barrel aged, I'd probably believe them. There's definitely certainly a stout. It's certainly an imperial.
There's something residual on the tongue, but you really have to go hunting for it.
A lot of the coffee has really fallen off. Either that, or they didn't put much, or it wasn't particularly good coffee. Now, I'm definitely biased. I just had easily one of my favorite coffees, like this morning, that I just found recently, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to buy this all the time. This is not that coffee, for sure. So
I love that it says, the beer of bourbon country. Oh, they messed something up. I guess if you just aged it for a month, though, like, what do you expect?
Maybe it could have been aged for like 1 to 3 months. I can see this being.
It doesn't say. I was looking all over.
There's no age.
It doesn't have a bottle date or aging date or anything. So
that being said, though, it's not like a bad stout. You know.
Honestly, if you were just looking for something that's like drinkable, with a decent size ABV, and you were sitting there saying, you know what, I'm in the mood for stouts, I'd say go for this. However, it is pretty severely misleading because it literally says coffee bigger than it says anything else on the label, and yeah.
So I know some of you guys might be like, BevMo sometimes gets stuff that sticks around on shelves. This is from 2020. I think it said. I think it was.
Where was the bottle date? I didn't see it on there.
Some of them was easier to see. This one was a little hard to see.
August of 2020, so less than a year.
I think August. No, it's 8. What's 8? Is it August?
Yeah.
Yes, that's August. Okay. Yeah. So August of 2020. That's still within like good drinkable range. Maybe the coffee might, fall off if it hasn't been refrigerated completely for that whole time. So I can understand that. But barrel flavor doesn't fall off just because you don't put it in the fridge for a few months, right? So on that one, that definitely loses some marks. But it's not a bad beer. It's just if you're reading it and that's what you have in mind, it's going to be kind of disappointing. But also, it was $10 for a 4-pack. So
$2.50 a bottle.
That for $2.50 a dollar
for an 8% stout. Like, don't compare it to your Bud Light Coors Lights that are like $1.50 for a 12 ounce or something. So big difference here.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'd say this is kind of just middle of the road. I don't know, maybe a 4.
Yeah. I would say it's in the 4.3 range.
Like, the only reason I wouldn't get it again
is out of 10, by the way. Out of 10, not out of 5.
Yeah. And the only reason I would say I probably wouldn't get this again is because, at least in our area, we have a steady supply of stupidly amazing stouts. So for us, it's not really worth it. But maybe this is local for you. That might be a better get for you.
I feel like if I was on a road trip and I found some like middle of nowhere gas station stop and I was trying to pick up some beer and I saw this, I would probably steer clear. I mean, if there was nothing else, that like I could find that I knew I liked, then I guess I would go for it. But if there was like anything else that I saw there that I've had before that I know I like, I would go with that first. This is, whatever, man. If you want to get messed up, you like stouts, it tastes like a stout.
Hey,
man.
it's probably, I would say it's light enough that you could probably chug it if you really wanted to.
I'd need like 3 beers before I chug it, I think. I feel like this one would be a little rough. Anyways, we are going on to the next one. Alright guys, so the next beer up is our middle of the road beer. This is from a pretty popular brewery, although I have not had a lot of beer from them before. This is called Fudge. It is from Prairie Artisanal Ales. It is an imperial stout with brownies, and it is 11%. These guys are known for their stouts and their sours and some of their funky stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't had a ton of beer from them. I've maybe had 1 or 2 bottles at a share, but everything I've had I've kind of enjoyed. I feel like when we were in the beer aisle itself, the Prairie section was kind of a little bit of a standout. And then price-wise, just to note, this costs $11.99 for a 12-ounce bottle. So you compare it to what we just had, $2.50 to $11.99, pretty big difference. 11% too, so it's a little bit higher ABV.
Yeah.
Which you got to take into account as well, but no barrel aging.
Yeah,
so.
But you can already tell. 0 head, which that's neither here nor there. But what I do get is just some lacing and some dark, chocolatey kind of brown.
It sticks to the glass quite a bit.
Yeah, you're already getting that bigger beer feel from this. So.
All right, well I'm ready to dig in.
Yep.
Cheers.
Oh, that's more of an aroma too. A lot more sticky. That's for sure.
Yeah, this got a lot more body to it.
This one has definitely been barrel aged.
Yeah. The aroma itself wasn't super strong for me. I got like cocoa powder off the nose, and then obviously like the malts from the stout itself. But the body is where the flavor comes through. You're definitely getting some like barrel character out of it. You're getting really good malt character. I feel like the malts in this really shine through. And then you get a lot of chocolate. For me, I'm a little disappointed, only because I was expecting something that was going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit fudgier. There's another beer that's probably in this price point. It's from Omni Polo. It's called Noah, N-O-A. If you see that at your bottle shop, pick it up. It's worth a buy. That one definitely had a way more fudgy presence, way thicker mouthfeel. It really like hit the mark on that aspect. But if we're not trying to judge this for the name, and we're just trying to compare it to the last beer, this is in a whole new realm of beer quality. Yeah. That's the real thing.
So another thing, just going over this beer again, once we both never had this one, I'm very unfamiliar with it. I'm not actually sure if it is barrel aged, which is interesting because it kind of tastes like
it's got like a barrel-y character to it.
It doesn't. I can't find anything saying for sure if it is. Also, if I'm reading the numbers on here correctly, I think it's from 2019. So this is an even older beer, which I know tends to happen with some of these single Prairie bottles that are like bigger stouts around $10 to $14 price point. Sometimes they tend to sit.
I wonder if that means that like that's why maybe some of the flavors fall off.
That wouldn't surprise me because this also was not refrigerated. It was just off the shelf. But once again, the benefit of this is you can go into basically almost any BevMo and sometimes some other mom and pop, liquor stores, and you can find a Prairie beer, and it'll be higher ABV around that price point, and usually they're very well made. Like even this, a couple years out, not being refrigerated
is enjoyable.
Yeah, like I'm gonna finish it. Is it the best beer I've had at this price point? No. Did I have to do any work to acquire this beer? Also no.
Yeah. I mean, that's the main point of this episode is these are beers that you don't have to hunt for. You can walk into a BevMo, say, I want to get a beer that is at the $10 price range. Boom. Here you go. And it's good for what it is. I mean, if I was at a restaurant and I was craving a stout and they brought me this, I would be very satisfied.
Yeah, this is one, going back to our scenario of you're on vacation somewhere, you're craving a good stout, this is not a brewery area, but they have a BevMo. Yeah, go grab a Prairie bottle. I would say, I don't know if I would get this specific one again, because now that I know how it holds up about a year, over a year or so, maybe 2 years old now, I'd be a little kind of on the fence about getting it again.
I mean, if you looked at it, though, and it had a fresher bottle date, like maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely want to try this fresh, because it's still super chocolatey. It's just not fudgy.
It's not
which
fudgy.
Is our
critique,
beef here. We want the fudge.
We want the fudge.
All right, so last but not least.
Except I didn't say fudge.
Oh, fudge.
Only I didn't say fudge.
Christmas Story.
Oh, right.
Come on.
I'm so bad.
Anyways, all in all, I mean, compared to the last one, again, much better. But we're about to crack open
the most expensive
beer that we could find at BevMo, believe it or not.
Yeah.
We tried, guys. I told the dude, I was like, if you got $100 bottle of some bourbon barrel aged stout back there that I've never heard of, please, by all means, bring it to me. And
they didn't.
They didn't. But the next one up is definitely at a much higher price point than what we just had. So that's coming up. All right, guys, we are down to the final beer, and this is the most expensive beer that we could find in BevMo. This is called Eclipse. It is an 11% barrel-aged stout with coconut and peanut butter, and it's made by FiftyFifty Brewing Company, which, I've seen these Eclipse bottles just about at every bottle shop I've been to in the last few years. I feel like I've had their beer before, but chances were it was probably at a bottle share and I was probably completely f***ed up out of my mind. So I don't even remember it. So I'm assuming, given the price point, given the fact that they're carried a lot of places, they're probably making a really good beer here. And peanut butter and coconut sound good. So
Yeah. So my experience, I don't think I've ever actually bought a bottle of Eclipse myself. I think it's kind of in the same boat. I've had them probably at least once at a bottle share. But even when I was first getting into craft beer, I remember seeing their bottles on shelves at anywhere that had good craft beer. And I would look at the price tag, and I remember, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. Now, older craft beer heathen that I am now drops that money sometimes way too easily.
way too easily.
Way too easily. But that being said, for the the normal human being that drinks beer, this is the most expensive beer you can get at BevMo. Maybe a couple variants of them are the same price. There might be one or two from a different brewery that are right at the same price point. But basically, you're going to spend this much money and get about this much beer.
They didn't have a $50 bottle of beer. I asked them, I begged them, they didn't have anything.
No.
So,
but this is also 2020 version, so we're not getting an old one. This is fairly fresh. Even though it hasn't been refrigerated, this should still taste good, so age shouldn't be an issue in this one. Let's see how the adjuncts hold up. What do you get for your money at BevMo?
Yeah. So first thing I want to note is when Jacob first poured this, there was like maybe a finger width of head on it.
About, yeah.
That has since dissipated. The lacing sticks around quite a bit though, and there is that nice little like sticky kind of residual thing going on too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I want to smell it. Yeah, I should probably spin it up a little bit. Pro tip, if you guys are trying to smell a beer and it's been sitting there for a few minutes and you want to get some head, just slightly circle your glass a little bit and you will actually stir up a little head. Or do what my friend Mary Jane does and ask for a straw and just spin it around really fast. That works too. Ooh, that actually kicked up some aroma. Wow, that is really interesting. I don't know if I've ever had a beer with peanut butter and coconut in it.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
an interesting combo now that I think of it.
It is. Also,
why didn't we even ask ourselves about that?
I love to point out this bottle was double waxed.
Oh my god, it took Jacob like 10 minutes to get the damn thing off.
Yeah, that was an adventure and a half. But yeah, you got one layer of that like kind of really weird kind of silvery, almost looks like TV static, which is really cool on wax. And then there's another layer of almost like if peanut butter was wax colored, or if wax was peanut butter colored.
There you go.
On top of that, so it was she was nicely sealed. But I want to drink this.
Yeah. Cheers.
Ooh.
Mmm.
Oh, there's a lot more coconut than I was expecting. I kind of thought the
Peanut
chocolate
butter
and peanut butter would overpower it. No, wow, that's a lot of coconut.
It hits on the back end when I breathe out. When I breathe out, I get like raw coconut. But up front, I'm actually getting a lot of the bourbon character mixed with a little bit of chocolate.
I'm
too.
all after retronasal, just coconut.
Retronasal, new term. Write it down.
You can learn on this YouTube channel.
I just learned.
Yeah, but no, there's a ton of coconut at the finish. Holy crap. I don't know. Maybe just because I wasn't expecting it, I'm so surprised by it that I'm quite impressed. I don't know. Not that I thought this beer was going to be bad. I just didn't think it was going to be as interesting, even though it...
Peanut butter and coconut.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be just like fuck ton of coconut.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coconut.
So for me, with first taste, second taste, third taste, I've been tasting it a few times. Surprised to say, I don't get a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah, that's the one disappointment.
It's actually kind of absent. Like, maybe if I'm like, rubbing my tongue across the roof of my mouth and I'm really digging for extra flavor, I get it. But mainly, as soon as it hits my palate, I get bourbon, I get barrel character, I get chocolate malts, I get a hint of coconut. Then once it, slides down my gullet and I'm breathing out, post-nasal, what'd you call it?
Retronasal.
Oh, retronasal flavor, I get a lot of that raw coconut. And it sits really well, which is nice because that tells me, especially for a beer, if you're going to spend this kind of money on a bottle of beer, I wouldn't want a beer that makes me want to take another sip immediately. And I really like that residual coconut, so you can kind of sit on it for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then sip on it.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to drink this fast only because I'm a few beers in. I'm a little buzzed now. So, despite what I just said, if you were sober and you were starting with this beer, I feel like you could probably make it last quite a while.
Yeah, I would say that. So, I think the big takeaway from this episode is that you're likely to get disappointed when picking up random beers at BevMo.
Yeah.
But second takeaway is that I think if you really have a hankering for a good bourbon barrel stout and you're in the middle of nowhere, BevMo is the only light at the end of that tunnel. Eclipse 50/50 has your back, especially if it is the brand new 2020 variants. They still taste fresh and they deliver hella adjunct flavor. And I think that's going to be money well spent at BevMo.
Yeah, Jacob and I are really spoiled.
We're
and a lot of you guys watching are spoiled because I know most of our viewers are based out of Southern California. We are surrounded by absolutely amazing breweries, and there is always incredible beer available. In fact, yesterday I spent $100 at the Brewery. Brery. But anyways... we're spoiled in that aspect, so we have a lot of options when it comes to beer.
Yeah.
We also know our local breweries really well, so we know what to expect from them when they come out with a release.
Yeah.
But I know that there's people out there that live in areas where the nearest brewery is 30 miles or 50 miles or 100 miles, and even then, their beer could totally suck. So...
Well, yeah.
So you're also faced with that situation. So we knew that there would be people that might appreciate, going to a chain liquor store like BevMo and trying out some of the beers. I do want to just sit and touch on each one just briefly. For me, is it worth it for the cheap Kentucky Barrel coffee stout thing? No. $2.50, honestly, your money's more well spent, buying pipe cleaners, man. You could buy anything for $2.50 and it would be worth it.
Rip.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, the most obscure thing that kind of hit. I don't know why pipe cleaners, but... it's just not worth it. When it comes to the middle price point, to be honest with you, I feel like that's where I feel safe. If I was in the middle of somewhere, I feel like that Prairie beer did its job, and I'm not breaking the bank. And in all honesty, this was obviously the best of all three, which I hope so if we're paying this kind of money. However, if I'm somewhere that's not familiar, and I'm planning on, I want to drink a big, bold... high quality beer like this, I probably already have 3 or 4 bottles like that with me because I would have had that intention. This is a treat yourself beer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then the Prairie beer is okay, I need to get some good beer that I'm gonna enjoy that's not gonna break the bank. That's how I feel. What about you?
So yeah, Kentucky coffee barrel wasn't really worth it. I don't know what happened to the coffee or the barrel. The Prairie one, I think I am with Jeff. That's the most likely you are at BevMo, you want to pick up some stuff for maybe a last minute party or last minute something. you're most likely to grab that off the shelf for sure, because it hits that price per taste right. It does the best job of being the middle. Yeah. However, I can see myself actually buying this spontaneously after maybe I thought I wasn't going to want an Imperial Stout, and then just the way events folded out turns out to be more of a drinking kind of party than I anticipated, and I'm like, you need to try a really good aged beer, and I have one at home, and I'm not at home. Hold on, I know exactly what to get.
Yeah.
And I've done that at least once, so I can see myself doing that again, and I now know that Eclipse has my back. So yeah, or 50/50. Sorry, thank you 50/50.
All right, guys. So that is our episode of Is It Worth It? Beer Edition, BevMo Edition, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up. Share with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you click that bell icon so you know the next time a new episode comes out. Now, this is a new format, and I am really curious in the comments below.
Yeah.
Let us know. Do you kind of dig the is it worth it thing? Is this something that we should do regularly? Do you want us to try maybe a different type of bottle shop? Do you want us to try a different style of beer?
Are we just ripping off BuzzFeed? Maybe.
We are. Suck it, BuzzFeed. Uh-oh, cease and desist. Coming my way. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. We had a blast.
We did, yeah.
And we'll see you next time on Let's Have Some Beer. Cheers. Boop. Our friends from the East Coast, Lord Hobo Brewing, actually sent us a little care package with their newest juicy hazy IPA, and it's called Juice Lord. And we're excited to try it out. So if you want to stick around, stick around. If you don't, still stick around.